Welcome back, everyone, to the NACL. And Cubby, you couldn't have predicted it better with that brand pick, but I was not expecting what I was going to see from Dignitas throughout the entirety of that series, a 2-0 quite quick.
Dignitas looks really, really good. Again, I think that they are going to be a contender, not just, for being top 5, top 6, top 4. I think they really are gunning for that championship. And I'm curious to see how and if the rest of the teams can catch up, because them, CLG, C9, and even Wildcard certainly look like our top dogs to sit atop of our standings as we almost are done with week 1.
Well, you know what? I've decided that Rafa is no longer going to be the only bard on the broadcast now. I have brought out my guitar and I have written a song for Tomo. Are you guys ready for
trumpet.
this?
That's not a trumpet.
We have a song for Tomo? All right,
Yes,
fire away.
yes.
Fire away.
Okay. I'm down. I like it.
Let the man cook. Now, moving on to the next game that we have today. As we will... No, bring the schedule back up. Bring the schedule back up. I'm trying to move on.
Oh, whenever you get to troll Mad Magical, that's my favorite. Oh, nice work. Oh, we got a break. No, keep it rolling. What do we got next?
Next match of the day coming your way. It's going to be CLG Faith versus FLYF. And a very important thing to note right here is both of these teams currently winless, looking to get their first one right now, Alex.
I think it's just so crazy when not only you troll me, but you end up trolling production on accident. So I'm just laughing about that.
Outstanding.
Yeah, okay.
Good work.
I do want to talk about, CLG Faith and FLYF being at the bottom of the standings, because if you actually watch some of the games from both FLYF and from CLG Faith, you see those, moments of glory where they look really good. FLYF, in fact, had some games where it looked like, even though they were against very tough opponents, were almost going to take wins. Hey, I know. Yeah, I'm trying to get. I know you're like, it wasn't that close, but at least they put up efforts.
They just threw.
Okay, I'm glad you actually are agreeing with me then, because I'm like looking at these teams. They've got abilities to play certain ways as long as they just clean up some of those mistakes, which is what a provisional team is for. That's why I don't ever go too hard on them for making said mistakes, because these teams aren't built to win right away and then have these players go to LCS next year. It's about a couple of years down the line, developing them, giving them these opportunities so they can make those mistakes and can learn from them.
All right, let's pull up our roster so we can actually look at these teams a little bit closer now. For the first one we will pull, it's going to be CLG Faith. You got the return of NXI back into the semi-pro space. Sketch pushed into that marksman role with Plux now coming in. And of course, the Bay State boys with Bajani and Saranok. Cubby.
Yeah, so we're going to be kind of focusing on the builds for each of these teams, as they are somewhat unique. With, some of the core of CLG Faith coming from now the bot lane of Cincinnati Fear last year and Sketch and Plux, but also the solo laners for Bay State, who did have a top 8 or a top 2, I should say, collegiate finish this past year, and Bajani and Saranok were a really big part of that.
Yeah, a big part of making that a reality. I was looking through a lot of that CLOL footage that we had for Saranok and Bajani, and it's such a joy to watch just how far some of them will dive through. I remember seeing Saranok doing some very deep dives on Vex. They click together, and I think that pre-established synergy, especially in your solo lanes, is a pretty important thing, Alex.
And Saranok is one of these players that I've been hyped up since just this past CLOL tournament. Right back in 2022, getting all the way to the finals, which was something a lot of people didn't expect Bay State College to actually have accomplished. It was a big upset, especially against like a team like UCI and St. Louis University. The fact that they were able to go all the way, sure, they were up against a very tough opponent in University of St. Thomas, who ended up taking it pretty cleanly. This is a team with players that I'm looking for, and I'm really looking towards Saranok, because I think this guy, when you look at some of these past games that he's had here in the Challengers League, has outperformed.
Cubby, I would like to know your opinion on the Bay State boys now that they are in a provisional team, as we do take a look at some of the footage of them.
Honestly, so I think that CLG and Fly, like in terms of the behind the scenes roster creation, they are a professional team, and given when they held their tryouts, they did get later pick compared to a lot of the others. With that said, I think Saranok is someone that has hit high highs on his champions. Like, his Zoe is feared across, all levels of play. So Yeah, I always like when you can take players like that, because I feel like getting them in the ecosystem where they're playing full time, you have higher odds to actually get them to hit those high highs on more champs as they continue to round out their play and their pool. But yeah, as you can see here, that best of 3 against UCI was the closest series of the last CLL tournament, in my opinion. And Bay State came up huge at the end thanks to Saranac and that Zoe, and some good plays from Bajani as well.
I was about to say, so Bajami's really good at team fights too. I just want to really quickly get that in.
All right, well, CLG Faith will be looking for their first win, but they're not the only team doing that. FLYF, another one that will be looking for that. A lot of topside power into this roster. Goo and Blaze pulled out from last year's Fear roster. Sword and Instinct still staying in semi-pro through a provisional roster. And someone newer in the space in Lunacia. How are you feeling about this roster right now, Magical?
Honestly, I look at this team, and especially with their performances, sure, 0-4 record doesn't look good on paper, but honestly, there's been some really good plays out of a lot of these members, and there's a reason why they were picked initially for 100 Thieves Next, because it's hard to follow a class such as the 100 Thieves Next roster that had, I believe, Tenacity and Busio and Kenvi on it, which Goo and Instinct had to do. Sure, Goo didn't last as super long as I would have liked it for him to, especially for developing him. He's back here, ready to play, and Instinct, someone who really outperformed in LCS, in my opinion, and someone that should have been on a Challengers roster, is here to once again prove himself through the semi-pro environment and say, hey, I deserve to get back in Challengers next split or the year after.
Yeah, I know that as we get into the clips of this, so Goo was on that second iteration of 100 Next, actually with Busio and Instinct. And it's funny to see, with Sword pulling out 100 Next this past year as well, kind of how that core has been picked up now by FLYF, especially, given the, coincidence that Papa Smithy's now here as well, too.
Is it a coincidence?
But I think it's pretty funny, just given the fact that, not only do we see them, but we've actually seen these teams go toe-to-toe. We had to go back a little bit for the footage, but this is from Challengers Uprising, I believe Season 2, where you can see we've got Young, Busio, Instinct, Goo on that side of the map, and then on the other side, you can see Saranac, in this game. These were teams that have gone toe-to-toe throughout the amateur ecosystem in the past, and now, having the expansion, more provisional teams and more spots. It's kind of fun to see them in the league now.
Cubby, did you find these VODs?
No, this was all Mad Magical this time around.
This is Mad Magical? Alex, I give you all the credit in the world for pulling up some of this from the archives, man.
You don't know how long it took me to find some of this stuff. It was not like, oh, it's just, pop it into the search bar. It's like way back machine I had to use for some of them. I had to dig deep into old YouTube channels that don't exist, or don't really exist because it's just dead now, but yet still had some VODs left or some highlights.
And, part of the fun of this, too, is that, we kind of have talked about how these builds originated, some of the crossover that we have between some of these members. Blaze is actually on Cincinnati Fear this past split with Sketch and Plux, and also Goo is that 100 Next jungler, but he was actually replacing NXI, who replaced Kenvi on the 100 Next team the year before. So, kind of like a lot of, I guess, funny coincidences or paths crossing throughout getting here to NACL. And it's cool now to have all these players in the league, especially players like NXI and Goo back, who each took a break, and are two players that I've thought very highly of when they are playing at their highest level. So it will be fun to see them go toe-to-toe today and see which one of these teams can get some wins on the board.
All right, well, now it is time. One of these teams will be picking up their first win, potentially both. I would like to see a 2-0 personally, but let's get into the game. FLYF versus CLG Faith. See you guys on the other side.
You want to see a 2-0? I want to see 1-1s. I want to see action. I want to see close games. I want to see shenaniganeries, level 1, all that jazz.
We are into the draft phase, Mad Magical, so we'll see if we get any shenanigans in this one. Very creative draft in the last game. If you missed it from Dignitas Challengers, they actually had Brand Nami Bot, a lane that I very much enjoy. But for FLYF, I expect to see some bans, especially on blue side, thrown towards NXI, someone who I believe is the strongest member on the CLG Faith roster, especially early in the season. And I'm curious to see what happens with Karma. Is a pick that we have seen have some priority with different teams, but one that CLG Faith has very highly prioritized so far in this early season.
In one of their games that Saranac played that mid lane, honestly, it was a standout performance for this mid laner. So there it is, taking that away. I almost wonder if, with that Maokai being the band, I thought the Lucian would also follow the bench, but instead it's Caitlyn.
Yeah, so we'll see. Instinct does love that Zeri. Yumi's off the board, but you do still have Lulu. Lucian on the board, you can kind of handshake that. I think that Zeri Lulu does provide later value in the game, and Instinct as a player has always really excelled in those team fights. It always has been, how much better can Instinct get at lane, to really get him there. But with Maokai being off the board, that other point-and-click CC jungler will be locked down for Goo, and we will let CLG Faith now decide which bot lane they want to pilot.
So this is where I would say I actually think I would like the run back from last game with Brand ADC for Sketch, because he actually is very notorious for the past playing a lot of mages in bot lane. I know it's too late. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, he was good Ziggs.
It was very good Ziggs. Played Karthus as well, some Vygar ADCs. Like to play a lot of those mages, but with Varus still being open, decides to go for that, avoiding either Zeri or Lucian, instead getting a lot of poke that we saw at the very beginning of the day, all the way back in Game 1 of C9 Challengers and Evil Geniuses Challengers.
And Nami can help with some of that poke in the mid game for Lucian. Nami is very strong, especially with that Vi. So the point and click and the engage is there for FlyFam. But as you stated, that Varus, the early landing power, something that Sketch and Plux can try and use really well. I know from talking with Sketch before, we got into these matches, he was put in a really tough spot. So BMFX, just decided, I can't compete the split due to, some personal factors, was late to drop. So CLG had to make a swap. Sketch was actually supposed to play support and was in the midst of a role swap. One that Sketch was excited about from talking with him, and also a lot of people around Sketch were excited about because they feel like he could fit that role really well. He had to step back into the marksman role. He got 3 or 4 days only to prep in solo queue. I know that CLG have stated that they still really want Sketch to be a support in the long haul, so they're looking for permanent AD solutions. But Sketch, on less practice, I think that has been a weakness for CLGF early in the season. It's a really tough situation for Sketch. But this Varus Heimer lane, it's very strong. So we're going to have to see if they can step up and utilize that powerful lane to hopefully have a stronger portion of the game that has been a weakness for CLGF in their first 4 games.
I was just doing a little bit of looking back to my notes to see how many times we've actually had Instinct and sort of play Lucian and Nami, because this is actually something that Instinct does like to play.
Yeah, they had one game earlier.
Yeah, they had one game earlier, but they actually also had a matchup where they played the Varus Heimerdinger themselves into the Lucian Nami. So they understand both sides of the matchup, trying to go for that. But here in the second part of bans, we got to really focus on the top side of the half that was taken away. Okay, Elise.
So Elise, we've seen be an answer into Vi, because you can repel and pretty much nullify the Vi R. Not to mention the Q. Also, the Cocoon from Elise can stop that, and you can match the early pressure and invade. So we'll see if NXI can make good use of this. That's a very spicy pick, as I'm curious to see if they actually bring gank assist into the mid lane, so Elise has something to play through. This does also open up AD laners for Serenok. So on the blue side, we do have Ahri being locked in along with Camille. That's a lot of pressure in the side lane as well as execute. Ahri can follow up on the Vi, not to mention Camille as well. So really a lot of CC tools here for FlyFam and an explosive team fight to kick things off for them.
It's really going to be the target selection that comes in from a lot of these fights, avoiding any damage that NXI is going to throw out, as well as jumping on top of if that Syndra gets locked in for Serenok, as well as Sketch on Varus.
So Serenok, it does bring a lot of magic damage to the side of CLGF, but you can get Syndra out of the Ahri lane. Old Syndra had a stronger lane than this iteration of Syndra does now, but with the peel, the pick as well, I mean, one Cocoon could just be someone dead, even with the double magic damage for NXI and Serenok. So we'll have to see. CLG, I think they have a lot of pick tools and the ability to get ahead in lanes early, but I do love the team fight for FlyQuest, and I feel like that's an easier to execute comp on the blue side.
It is, especially when you're playing. This is where we got to bring up
at least in the fights. You got to get out of lane. Yeah,
you've got to get out of lane, because that's going to be the difficult part. You have to get some magic resist built up too, because even though, sure, later game, you're going to have that magic resist to kind of deal with an Elise and Syndra, but not early game, not even post 6 you're going to be able to deal with that. That's going to take some time before you feel comfortable fighting against them.
And so, like, given that, I have a lot of eyes early on especially, like, where Goo goes. Because you can get invaded by Elise, and also, you do have gank assist in the top side for Camille. We've seen most junglers opt to pathing towards bot, but that is an option for Goo to work his way towards the top side, try and get Lunacia ahead, who has been very good in the early stages of the season.
Every point you made, Cubby, I don't care.
It's all you now.
You made, I don't care. Shenaniganeries. Yes, I've been waiting for this entire
CLG
weekend.
wins this level 1. They
are
win
already
level
there.
1.
They put down the turret, spotted out. They're still all committing damage onto Plux. Waiting for the Hail Blades. Going to get some damage on to Sword and Goo, but nobody is going to actually engage.
And I actually like neither team dropped a ward, knowing that it would gift XP to the other. So even more mind game is being played here. As that level 1, it's really tough to level 1 against Varus. That E is so powerful. So I really do respect Fly for not dropping wards, staying sound. But now Instinct, he will be checking a few of these turrets. And
okay, so we can go back to the points I suppose you were making earlier. I wasn't paying attention. I just saw all 5 grouped up on each side.
Well, I was talking about jungle pathing, how Goo has to kind of navigate his way around the Elise, and Goo has options of where to start. And it does look like Goo's going to take one of those options and actually work his way towards that top side. So we'll see if Bejani can be pressured by Lunacia, who again, Lunacia is someone who is like a new player. And even talking to Lunacia, he was kind of like, hey, like, I am new, right? Like, there isn't a ton of scouting on him. But he's been someone who, given that we didn't have much expectation for him, just because we didn't know the tape, couldn't find much tape, he's actually been really impressive in this early season, and a highlight for me with FlyFam.
I like how Lunacia plays. The only thing for me is don't put Lunacia on tanks yet. Really good on a lot of these bruisers, but we got to put that pause on the conversation. Because Goo, level 2, looking to see what he can do in this bot lane. Double Roo, going to be able to get the knock up too. Looking for Sketch. The flash comes in from Instinct with a heal, gets a little bit of distance, and a flash away from Plux.
All right, that still is a huge summoner spell advantage now for the bot side. And with sustain for FlyFam, they will force CLG back. So we're going to have to see now. Goo, because he showed bot with red buff, NXI is open now to go take his topside camps. I'm curious where NXI ends up heading next.
As am I, just kind of farming up at the moment. I would expect maybe blue buff into mid lane if mid lane wasn't getting hard shoved by Serenok.
Yeah, and I mean, we can see NXI again. He knows that Goo is going to be in that side of the jungle or on his bot side camps, but NXI does have level 3. Goo cannot match that after the Krugs. He will be spotted by the ward if he goes through the Tri-Brush. Nice ward here by whoever dropped it, Goo or Instinct.
I believe
very
it was
clutch.
Goo. Because I think
very
the ward
clutch.
was placed down by Instinct in the lane.
They still are under a bit of fire, though, as Sketch is opting for the lethality build. Oh, great toggle.
He was spotted out,
yeah, great toggle by our observers. So this is known. But again, Goo isn't level 3. He can't stick around, so we have an Elise dive.
It's Elise dive, level 3. What's better? What's more known than that? Because you can repel and never even worry.
So CLGF, they're the ones who end up winning out of the bot side. And again, this has been a weak point for CLG in their 0-4 start. Their bot lane has been getting punished in a lot of these matchups. To have the Varus Heimerdinger, a lane that has so much strength and priority, and then use it really well in the early game with some support from NXI, a much better start for CLG in this one.
Well, this is where it goes back to the conversation of those highlights that we've seen from these teams. Both of them being 0-4, but even in their losses, they found ways to at least be somewhat competitive. They still look for these plays, even if they're 10k gold behind. That's something that I love seeing. I love players that don't give up, even in the bitter end where it's all cold outside and they are freezing, but they still try to get a scrap of food.
I just also love the answer from NXI. Like he knows that Goo's going to be slow to get those bonus levels. Goo sacrificed a lot to try and help his bot lane there. The fact that CLG flipped that on his head. You now have 2 rolls ahead, and now we mentioned this top side. Lunacia has this wave state in a bit of a questionable spot. NXI is here to hover. If Goo shows, it is advantage Elise, but now NXI is going to try and make his way in. Only level 3, so Camille with the hookshot could get out, but that was just used.
The hookshot was already used, exactly. So now you don't have that escape. You're waiting it out for the cooldown, trying to see if you can dodge away from the cocoon and do just that.
Well played. I think Bejani held on to that Q a little bit too long. This will force Lunacia to potentially base and TP back. That wave state is in a horrible spot, so NXI, again, at least you have to make sacrifices early if you want to be effective. Him playing for his lane there, getting this TP out of Lunacia, that is a big help to K'Sante on the top side.
It is a huge help for K'Sante. Gets a little bit of that lane alleviated. You can even see in the CS the fact that that wave is frozen right outside of the turret aggro, yet it's still Bajani having actually a little bit more than Lunacia, there we go, has in this top lane.
Yeah, and it is nice, especially this game too. So I know that a lot of, or the default server for NACL is actually the LA server, but this game we're playing on Chicago. So I know that Sketch and Plux, like they have 90 and 60 to 70 ping, depending on the day. But today, going to Chicago, a little bit fairer playing field for everyone. Love to see that here in our NACL games, especially for our provisional teams. So happy to have that be the case. And, you know, Sketch and Plux might be helping them just a tad bit, you know, have a little bit of a better lane phase. All good.
So respect to NXI, looking for yet another gank. This reminds me, you go back, you really rewind the time, right? Back to when Elise, Lee Sin were the craze that everyone would play every single game. And it was always because of the ganks early. How many could you accomplish right out of the gates? You didn't need farm because you wanted ganks and instant gets a lot of damage onto Plux. Oh, but couldn't actually get the kill on Sketch either.
They didn't see NXI until we got hit by a cocoon after the dash. It was a good bubble. I wonder if Sketch stepped into that to bait, knowing that he had the jungler behind him. Could be a small, you know, case there. Either way, CLG continued to amount a lead through their bot lane. Sketch did base. We'll see if they open up Dragon Take pretty soon. Nice stop here by Lunacia. Love that.
I do too. Really good base as base denial as well, looking towards the bot side of the map as you were talking about around this dragon. They've got the waves even between the two. The fact that you have NXI feeling very confident and putting vision around the dragon, around red buff in FlyFam's jungle means that they can easily set up for another play mid lane or bot lane, then afterwards get the neutral objective.
I like the idea of just playing through where you have priority, right? It's very clear that there's priority here in the bot side for CLGF, and also...
Well, I was going to say mid lane too. Serenok's been shoving in this wave this entire time. Hey, I gotta look smart once in a while.
All right. You can take it. What's been up with Serenok?
All right, he's been farming.
Farming better than his opponent too.
Which is expected because he's Syndra into Ahri, who struggles into the Syndra because if you get close early before level 6, you can't really do anything.
Serenok taking full advantage of that. Even has the TP advantage over Blaze, and that could be important as we have dinged the 8-minute mark. Rift Herald is on the table. CLG has that lead now through their bot lane. If Sketch and Plux are to get shove here and rotate up, I think that could be a really nice Herald setup for the side of CLG. Oh, that's unlucky.
Yeah, a bit unlucky, but not also the worst thing. At least they know where Goo is. So Hajani's just going to go back towards the top side. NXI, realizing where Goo is on the map, might look to make a play that in the bottom lane, pathing that way. Even if it's a trade for the Rift Herald, as Goo and Blaze are positioning and posturing around it.
They're picking Dragon.
Yeah, I think you take it. You go look for the bot lane play and then look for Dragon.
I mean, the Viari combo is very strong around Rift Herald, and we can see Goo at least trying to clear out Rift. So I think CLG playing around this. It is a trade. I still favor Rift Herald, but they are playing around the win con of FlyQuest. So I do like this from CLG.
So do I. And I like it from FlyFam. I think they're both playing the state as they should at this moment, getting those little advantages. Goo should take that Rift Herald. We'll get a little bit of an assistance from Blaze, but top lane, Bajani is looking to be that forced top lane fighting against Lunacia, but it was a hook shot and a lot of damage. The tactical retreat all out. Is it enough? That's going to be the ultimatum. They're bouncing each other around, but it's Lunacia who comes out victorious.
Yesterday, he was solo killing Jenkins in the counter pick. This time, he had counter pick, able to cash it in against Bajani. Well played again, Lunacia. Catching up, getting to know who he was. Originally, you know, from China, started playing around Season 7 as a way to pass the time. All of a sudden, he's a high elo player coming in here, and he's just here to prove himself. He's like, this is my first opportunity. I'm thankful I have one with FlyQuest. I'm going to do my best, take feedback, have a good head on my shoulders, and get better. And man, he continues to be one of the most pleasant surprises that we have in the league, even on an 0-4 roster, just given how little we knew about this player and how well he's performing in the league so far.
Getting another solo kill to his name, playing Camille, another bruiser, something that... Now you're just wondering, what can you actually ban against him? Because Jax is something that's been banned against him a couple times. He's played Renekton, now he's played Cassante, now Camille. and he's doing wonders on every one of the champions that he's played outside of the tank.
I'd love to see him having this impact on week 1. I hope he improves. He said that's his goal. He's left a very positive impact, or I should say impression, on us so far, Mad Magical. As we do have to return to the rest of the map. NXI was set up in the bot side, but decided to take a reset. As FlyQuest, really the only point of strength they have at the moment is Lunacia on that top side.
Working out, at least for now. Probably going to look back to the top lane in a couple minutes to see how Lunacia is, do a little bit of a check-in. Because the rest of the map, as you called out, is all CLG Faith's favored. Mid lane, good sizable CS lead. Bot lane, 20 almost CS that leads there. At least Goo has been able to farm up and kind of compete against NXI, but that's because NXI has been ganking constantly.
And NXI has gotten more, right? Like, even off the Herald take, Varus was able to match in the bot side with 2 points for himself. And so when you factor in the golden experience of the minions missed, I actually favor that so far for CLGF. In terms of, they got Dragon, they got that now. It just is about how much can they cash in for this Rift Herald. And that's exactly where FlyFam is looking at the moment. As Goo's trying to find Plucks.
Looking for Plucks, a lot of layered down with the Charm. Yep. And that's that power you talked about with Ahri and Vi.
So this is going to be the Herald drop into the bot side. Goo actually getting feisty. He won't be the Chant of Corruption coming out from Sketch, but you got to believe that the Rift Herald is going to be dropped here by FlyFam as they cut the wave early, trying to zone Sketch out of it.
I think they were waiting a little bit of time so they could get the minions to crash in, but now they've got too much attention. That's a Chain of Corruption on to Goo with the piercing arrow and force the heal.
Oh no.
Falling back on his Sketch. It was a bait the whole time!
Oh, he didn't calculate the heal, didn't calculate the Nami, so it does prevent Goo from throwing down the Rift Herald because of the rotation from Serenok and NXI, but still, FlyQuest, they come out big on that play, and they shut down the power point the CLG had on the map.
Getting, hey, some gold, even if it's on Goo, you like those plays, you like those odds, make it a lot more even. But back top lane, more 1v1 duels. This time it's Bajani getting the better end.
Yeah, he's got that Sheen and that cloth armor. It's going to force Lunacia back. Can TP, but will miss a portion of that wave as Serenok.
We're just having the solo trade. Constantly looking for trades.
Yeah, I like Serenok stepping up and trading there. Again, no Spirit Rush available for Blaze to just support the bot side plays. So Serenok knows his timer. As we do have FlyQuest actually flipping the map, this is for sure going to be a Herald drop. I do like this as was split recall bot, and here we go.
The flash, the knock up, the charge away. Do they have the damage? Ooh. They don't even need it. It's getting Kazante out of the lane for his called, placing down that Rift Herald.
Yeah, Goo didn't need to drop that flash though, and it will be the Herald take, but it's still his first brick bot for the Heimer Varus. So even with the swap, I like it because FlyQuest are getting more gold into what's important, and that is Instinct, but it still is CLG getting more on the other side of the map.
Utilizing that Varus and Heimerdinger power from the lane phase, getting that first brick gold for themselves right about now.
Well done by CLG again. Their bot lane been a bit of a pain point given the ping and the Sketch practicing another role until this week. This time around though, looking good. Taking advantage of the Chicago server and the powerful lane they have.
So far, I like a lot of the plays from both sides. They're constantly looking to rumble, get these leads. Bot lane might have been taken by FlyFam, by CLG Faith. But FlyFam at least getting some gold onto Instinct, as you had called out. And now he's got his Gale Force completed, a big point of power for Lucian. Sure, he doesn't have the serrated jerk that he kind of likes having, especially after coming out of lane a little bit more powerful than his opponents. Couldn't do so this time. Is it going to help Instinct with looking for these picks onto Sketch before he can set up with the poke?
So it is important to note, Mythic's so important for Lucian Nami. Mythic is going to be delayed for Sword, as it actually is going to be a boot completion. I think Sword's doing this just to try and dodge out on some of the poke that the Varus Heimer lane does have. But that means that Mandate's not in. That really is a lot of the damage that comes out of the culling combo with Nami. And because of that, I'm curious if CLG, or I should say FlyQuest, even want to fight this. As I think it's a dangerous fight. They do have the execute. Nice by Lunacia. I mean, gets a flash for nothing. But they can't check this dragon. Oh, never mind.
So they're going to try
to one way.
Secure it. I mean, you're hard forcing in the middle. The smite is secured by NXI, but Sketch is taken low by Goo. He's still alive. He's still alive. He will fall finally to 2 kills from CLG Faith. 1-4-2 with the dragon. CLG Faith will come out on top.
Yeah, I was surprised if FlyQuest went for that, just given that they didn't have a great setup. It's so difficult to walk through Heimer Varus, especially at this point in the game where Varus is so strong. They managed to find Sketch, but I think it was just too much for them to handle.
It's hard when you have a Heimerdinger who's able to set up, too. There's so much poke, the slows you get from that rallies he has in his inventory. You have to walk through it. That means you have to take a lot of that damage before you can even get near someone.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, on the side of FlyQuest, at least again, saving grace, we're getting closer to that Imperial Mandate, but Sword, I mean, still a long way away. Like, he's still, I mean, gotta be like 800-ish gold plus away from getting that Mandate finished. Again, that is such a big spike for the Lucian Nami. On the flip side, Pux already has that Rywise done, so Camille, Vi, when they commit, just life is harder for them. If they don't have their abilities up, it's much easier for CLG to kite them out and deal with this teamfight wombo that FlyQuest can send at them.
Let's revisit what we set up in the pregame about these two teams. It is the test of which is better, collegiate or semi-pro / amateur. I want to bring that up because right now we're seeing the collegiate boys looking strong at the moment. Serenok having a great lane phase. Johnny might have gotten solo kill, but now he's bounced back and he's even stronger than he once was.
And at the map right now, it does look like those collegiate boys, they're on this Herald Goo. He wants to fight Sword's caught.
Bye, Sword. Even with the heal, you're not going to survive the unleashed power of the outlane button that came through. They could, but they can't. They had too many members defending Serenok to make sure the Bay State boys come out on top with their first Rift Herald.
Yeah, Sword just got stuck. And I think that this is some of the youth of FlyQuest, too, and some of the calls. Like, some of the games, they have played really well, but there have been moments where they throw really hard. And that's one where, again, you don't have control going into Varus Heimer. You have someone on the bot side that is able to take the turret as Dunasia just cleans that up. You can try and play towards this side, try and take down Bejani instead of trying to contest the Rift Herald where you aren't as strong right now. That's not the option that FlyQuest go for, and now they might get punished even harder.
Wow. On to Lunacio. 1v1. Don't show up here, NXI. Let him have it. Let him have it, but he takes it away.
He's got the fangs chomping down, and again, FlyQuest split on the map. They try and contest the Rift Herald, loses support. No support for the bot side where Lunacia is taking that tower. That is the trade they set for. Well, because there's no support, you're down a member already. CLG are able to rotate, so CLG is playing the map a little bit better than FlyQuest in this game. I think that's the big difference and why they're ahead 2K gold.
Still, this game is close. It's probably the closest one we've had at this point in this day. With it 18 minutes and only 2K separating the two teams. Here, like I said, Bajani probably was going to get the solo kill. NXI just showed up to steal it and be like, yoink, I'm the jungler, I take.
Yeah, Bajani had this one cleaned up. It was a overextension for the Nasi on the bot side. Again, with FlyQuest being a little bit split, having 4 members on the top side and taking a bot outer, that is dangerous. CLG Faith, though, they do punish appropriately. Well played.
Well played. Now bouncing back into this game. Ooh. With the next dragon up in a minute and a half, and Baron up a few seconds after that. CLG Faith have the full control of the game. So this is where we really do want to see how clean they can be about the later stages. How can they close out these games against another provisional team?
I think that the good news for CLG is, again, when you are able to play from ahead as Heimer Varus, it is so difficult to take that terrain back, and that's exactly what CLG wants to do with the pick comp they have, right? Syndra, Elise, Varus, Heimer, their ability to one-shot someone and just take away a health bar before an objective is huge. And that's something that FlyQuest will have to fight and deal with. Because again, if they're able to execute that team fight around Vi, there are good options for them to get a kill and snowball a fight from there with the Ahri. But if not, if they lose their health bars too early, that's where CLG looks to take advantage. So just stay disciplined with the terrain that you have, and I love this from CLG right now. As they have knowledge of...
Spot it out. Spot it out. Grenade not connecting. We'll both be alive, though. Goo, okay, Goo wants this one.
No.
There's the TP behind. There's no Serenok just yet, so they gotta see if they can fight before they can all get out. It's a disengage from each side with a little bit of poke thrown out.
Yeah, a few missed skill shots from each side as well. Not timing up the stasis or the teleports, as I gotta say, that's all being down for the Ahri Vi. I don't know what else you can do if you're FlyQuest here.
Maybe try to steal away this dragon.
You have culling.
You have culling, and there hasn't been the setup, but Sword gets deleted again.
Serenok.
Played once again. Serenok doing a great job on Syndra, and with the charm onto Bajani, he's too tanky for anyone to deal with, so Goo, he's just hoping for a miracle. The blast gun, unfortunately, is taken away, because I believe Sketch auto-attacked that.
And Nami being off the map again, that Imperial Mandate just finished 20 minutes into the game. That's so late. I think that is the strength of Lucian Nami. It's when you have that Mandate and the Empowered Culling, your ability to get mid lane priority by simply pressing E and then pressing R. It's game-changing. It's why it's such a high priority pick in professional play. But it being so late...
Oh, man.
I mean, that's just a dangerous place to cross. Again, Fly a little bit split. Not able to set up the terrain earlier. They were trying to go through bot later, but not realizing that CLG already had control over mid lane earlier in this this series of events. If they play through bot earlier, go around the red buff, maybe you have an option to find the front to back, but not the case. Sword gets caught on the rotation, and easy objective for CLG is they get themselves soul point.
Soul point, capable, but still have to fight their way to it. This is where I'm going to focus our attention back onto Blaze and Goo. We talked about the Ahri and Syndra, how their synergy works well together. We didn't really get to see it in that last fight. But once that comes online and they do find that pick, especially onto someone like Sketch or Serenok, I really would like them to take out Serenok before there's even an unleashed power that can be utilized.
Oh no. Oh, 123. It is close, but no cigar. Yeah, I mean, taking down a member again, you can press R as Vi and delete something, but that is proving to be tricky for him. As the target picked, it was a stopwatch on Plux. That was clutch. I mean, that really changed things. That's a big mistake from Goo. Not hitting Sab, not recognizing that. Really makes that dragon fight difficult when you're down RE plus Vi ult before the fight.
That's what I'm saying. I want them to focus it on Serenok, because Serenok right there, scatter the weaks, keep connecting, utilizing this Syndra perfectly.
I really like the setup that Serenok has with Vision now. That is one scatter hitting. You have Plux hovering, but he is spotted in the downtime. Of course, Baron is on the table. Because it is the Thality Varus, Baron take isn't that great for the side of CLG. Heimer does kind of help alleviate that. But I'm mostly expecting them to just wait for this upcoming dragon. And I want to see...
points, after all.
Yeah. I want to see if FlyQuest can either get mid-priority with the Lucian plus Nami, or if they decide to play through bot earlier to try and get around CLGF, who have that potential to pick them in the choke points with pretty much everything they have in their composition.
Nice blue trinket. Popped by Instinct to spot out the rotations coming in from CLGF. They're, again, looking to see if they can kill Blaze, since he got chunked out pretty well by Serenok. Now, the setups here mid lane. He got Sketch, and that's the cease and desist onto the member you need. He's gone with NXI still nearby. They got the TP from Serenok. Flux is too low, though, to continue this battle.
All right, that's good. Exactly what we want to see out of FlyQuest. Just utilize that Vi ult whenever it's up. Combo it with the Lucian Nami. Not hard to do. It's all point and click stuff. Really good to see. Too late in the game for what FlyQuest want, but better late than never.
I was about to say too late. It's still not necessarily that big of a gold deficit they find themselves in. The bigger thing is whether or not that soul is picked up by CLGF on this next dragon spawn.
Well, they will have all their cooldowns back, and you can see FlyQuest actually setting up for a dive. They have Lunacia.
That's the combo we wanted to see earlier, Cubby.
And this is why Goo left such a strong impression on me from the TL tryout. His ability to trigger pull and communicate that, I think that sometimes, given his youth and, having a year off of comp play, he sometimes messes up, doesn't do it at the right time. But when he finds it, when there's a lead on the map, Goo's ability to aggressively snowball things, I think, makes him a very unique player to watch, and another good jungler that we have in this league. Love all that from Blaze and Goo syncing up. Now, I will say, that cost 3 flashes from FlyFam, all used before the dragon fight. So now that we're 1 minute away, those are tools that are very important that they are now down. All the flashes are up and available for CLGF. So I think this next fight is still advantage for them. We'll see if FlyFam can make good use of the extra gold they just got in their pockets.
One saving grace I will say for FlyFam is most of those cooldowns they burned beforehand are now recycled. They're all coming back up. The only one you're missing is Spirit Rush, but it should be up more than enough time. It's the flashes, yes.
Yeah, that's tough. Again, you have to try and get the backline execute. And again, I really want to see if FlyFam can recognize, hey, we got to go through bot. I think that Goo's doing that right now with Sword. They don't have Instinct mid. They actually have him bot, so they're trying to play through Dragon a little bit differently, realizing that they can't contest the upper side of the river because CLG put the resources there. And that's really the part of CLG's comp they can't contest.
I like this sneaky from Goo. Waiting it out.
See, this is good. This is much
spotted out,
better.
though. Unfortunately, spotted out by that control ward, so they know what the attempted play was. But like you said, it's fine because we look at Lunacia mid lane fighting against Bajani. But this time around, it's going to be a lot more difficult. I believe Ravenous Hydra was completed for Lunacia, as the Dragon has been started by FlyFam.
This is a much better approach. You can't execute the river fight. Bejani is doing a good job of zoning out Lunacia. We'll see who Goose selects.
Waiting for the charge from the Vault Breaker, but doesn't actually
Blaze
go
is spotted.
through.
Look at Serenok.
They see him, and Serenok inside the pit with dodges. They've got the stun. That's the lockdown, but he's still alive. Is he going to live for any longer? No, he's not. They've got him as Bajani jumps on top of Goo. With Instinct getting a little bit of damage on the other side.
Sketch.
They've got him. Sketch is gone. They've got the kills. They've got the power in the team fights as they look to take down CLG Faith, who are doing their damnedest to whittle away at the health bars. Goo! He lives! He lives on a hope and a prayer, but all the members of FlyFam are low. Well, NXI and Flux are still on the other side. They could look to see if they want to engage this one as Blaze gets the charm to connect. NXI, there's no repel! He flashed, but the flash from Instinct, there's the repel, but only danger awaits you!
And FlyQuest, the setup exactly what I asked for after the mistake of the third Dragon. Play through bot, find more angles. Great recognition from this young team throughout the game as Serenok, he's trying to find Blaze, but this is way too far up from him. It gives Aribai the perfect angle. There's no stopwatch available. He only has the Seraph to save himself. So when he's not able to delete someone else and he gets deleted, now this fight is everywhere for CLGF. Cinder's a huge part of the peel for Sketch, the poke, and everything as they're forced to retreat into the choke. Lunacia finds the other pinch. This was a great setup from FlyQuest. A big mistake from Serenok to be in that pit, and FlyQuest punished to the fullest.
The fact that Goose survives there, too, is absolutely amazing. Oh, God of the Week. Blaze, actually surprising, is a lot more difficult to kill and burst down for Serenok at this point in the game, having path for Seraph's Embrace.
And I gotta say, it's even gold on the board. There are dragons in favor of CLG, but I favor FlyQuest comp at this point. They have a Lucian going full damage, and goodbye.
Serenok just getting bullied now.
Figured it out.
They heard me talk about Collegiate being better than Semi-Pro, and they're like, nah, we've got this. We'll continually farm Serenok.
They solved the puzzle, and again, the DPS on Lucian versus Varus is so in favor of the Lucian at this point of the game with the mandate finish, and you can see the aggression now that Goo gets to play with. If there are not stopwatches available for CLG, whenever that Violet's up, it's so easy to attack with Camille and Ahri as your solo laners. FlyQuest, later into the game, they've somewhat solved this puzzle. They're able to make plays when objectives are down. That objective setup was so much better, and now 1k gold up. I think FlyQuest are very much favored in this game state.
Also, can we talk about the glow up of Blaze in this game? The past few series hasn't really looked too good for this mid laner. Also having to face off against strong players like M&S. And now he's got this with the Everfrost connecting. They've got so much damage. Instinct also trying to prove why he was once in the LCS where he got a pentakill in his second game. Of course, no kills come through that time around, but forcing these backs again. The big purple worm is the objective that is there.
Yep.
Okay. That's Serenok. Serenok, you can't step up. You just can't step up, bud.
No, you have to build Zhonya's. Serenok has to go Zhonya's next. You must get a stopwatch. That's the only way you can actually get around the Vine. As long as there is no stopwatch on the side of Serenok, they can keep on rinse and repeating these plays as Blaze.
Oh, Blaze! That's what I'm talking about! The glow up!
Oh, it's so good for Blaze. I think that he was a really strong Ahri player when he was on Fear, but I know that he took a break right before the split. I was talking to FlyFam saying, like, yeah, but we expect Blaze to ramp up. He just needed a break. It's going to favor him in the long haul. Well, he's ramped up throughout this week already, man. Looking much better in this game and playing with Goo. I love the decisiveness that we have seen out of FlyFam in this game. Something that I give Goo and FlyFam a lot of credit for all the games they've played so far. But they haven't closed out these leads cleanly. Let's see if they can do that this time around, because I know their game the other day did not go their way because they were not able to close things down. So I think it's really important that we see FlyFam now, kind of go back to the drawing board, fix their mistakes. They should have won that game 1 against CLG, but didn't because they didn't respect the TPs the other team had. Really want to see if that changes now.
Wow, instinct damage on Sketch, but he's pulled back in. He might have been a little too aggressive. Or was he? Because Blaze is showing why he is going well in this game. He had to face off against Copy and M&S in his first 2 series. This time, we're seeing the power he can provide.
Yeah, Serenok had a damn good lane phase, got the Ahri behind, but this Ahri-Vi combo has been overwhelming for CLGF in the later stages as Goo, these trigger pulls, so easy for his team to follow up.
They're following it up every time. And Instinct, too, is just feeling that much more enabled, knowing that Blaze Goo can easily follow up any play that they attempt.
Oh, the fadeaway charm, too. I do want to see FlyFam. They got to pay some respect. I want to see a full reset here from FlyFam. Very good. Good job, young guys. Dragon's up in 45 seconds. Mountain Soul, you got to believe, is the only way the CLGF can actually get back in this game. Not only getting one of the stronger souls in the game, but also triggering Elder spawns, too. So really like the fact that FlyQuest full reset here.
It's about learning, right? That's the whole idea with a provisional team. It's how can you learn from your losses? And you can clearly see while FlyFam's early game wasn't going so well, once they got everything on point, once they communicated properly, they have become unstoppable. Goo just feels so comfortable charging as Blaze has the play. They've got the damage. Flux has to go golden because he has Azonius now, but they got the damage to make sure that once he's out of stasis, he's dead. Same with Sketch, annihilated by FlyFam. They're cleaning up house this time around. Every game has been close for them. They have tried valiantly so far in this first week of the North American Challengers League, and FlyFam will get their first victory.
Love to see FlyFam pick it up. I think they should have had their first one against CLG yesterday. Made some mistakes in the later stages. Not this time. They grew up as 5, and they just brute forced CLG back into their Nexus. It was a good early game and a strong lead for CLG. But FlyFam, they solved the puzzle at that 4th Dragon. That was a poor setup from CLG. And FlyFam, do not let them get away with that Dragon and take the game.
They have learned from their mistakes clearly already in just a day. That they have come back, bounced back in this game to take that first one, their first victory of the spring split.
And again, like that 3rd Dragon, they used the ult on the Heimer. So that got Ahri ult and Vi ult gone. They then tried to contest it. There was the 2nd Rift Herald that kind of tried to make 2 plays at once. There was an oopsie from Fly. So it's not like CLG didn't have windows to get ahead and to win this game. But it's just as things went on, like these were problems that FlyQuest were facing themselves. They were the ones that better adapted throughout the game and figure out, hey, all we have to do is throw Vi at Syndra. If we do this, this is how we win the game. Syndra presented herself in the first Dragon fight, and then from there, they hunted her for the rest of the game. And that was the big difference for me.
Cubby, I'm about to sneeze, so I'm going to toss it to a break because I don't want to sneeze on broadcast and then blow out everyone's ears. So let's go to a break. We'll see you guys in just a little bit.